Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome back to another episode of the RAMP podcast. I am your guest host, Diana Perkins Kamada. I'm a RAMP board member and the CEO of Include Design, a product design company making products that empower individuals with disabilities. Tonight, we are joined by the wonderful team from the Impossible Dream Playground. Please welcome Diane Florio Penza, the executive director, and John McGowan, the director. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
It's good to have you guys with us as well. So why don't you guys start out by telling our viewers what is the Impossible Dream Playground?
Okay, I'll
Diane?
take it.
Yeah.
The Impossible Dream Playground was founded in 1990 and it was an offshoot of the Impossible Dream charity, which began in 1982. My late father, John Florio, had a dream to build a playground where everybody could play, regardless of their physical abilities. And he saw his dream come true. In August of 1990, we opened, and he lived for 5 years. And after he passed on, I took over. So I've been there for over 28 years now. The playground has grown and changed, and we have seen thousands and thousands of very happy children and parents, and we have hosted many, many groups, and we have field trips, and we have birthday parties, and we have fundraising events for families at the playground. And so it's grown into more than anyone had ever dreamed, pardon the pun, of. We're number one in Rhode Island and number 16th most popular playground in the United States. And
Wow.
we're the number one searched playground on Google for 5 years running. So it has really become something that nobody ever dreamed it would become. And we do not charge anything, Diana. There's no fee to come to the playground. Because I really do believe that if you say you are accessible, then you have to be financially accessible. And most families just can't afford to go someplace 2 or 3 times a week and have a good time and pay a big fee. So there is no charge for our playground. John, you want to add anything to that?
I think you summed it up perfectly. And, the Impossible Dream Playground, to see the children and the families that come to the playground each and every day, not only do they have a smile on their face, but, when Diane walks around or, her staff, or when, I'm there, it's nice to see that so many people come together to have a good time, and how crowded it is every night. And when those gates lock at night, people still want to come and play.
That's
That's
wonderful. Diane, I would love to hear more about what inspired your dad to make the Impossible Dream Playground a reality.
well, we had been doing dreams for chronically ill children since 1982. And the dreams weren't, don't think Disney and things like that. Think a special ramp, a special bicycle, a special computer, a tool that was going to enhance their everyday life and make life more pleasant for them. Special bicycles were like, we were buying them by the dozens. And the one thing that families would tell us is that they wish they had some place to go with the entire family so that everybody could play. And at that point in 1989, when we started building, there were no accessible playgrounds in Rhode Island. And so they really needed this facility, which is what drove us to keep raising money in order to see it come true. And it looked much different than it does right now because there weren't that many products that you could buy. We have just added our second wheelchair glider. So now we have two of them in our playground. Those were unheard of when we opened the playground. So we try to update it to buy new, really wonderful equipment for children with disabilities. We have a golf course that you can play from a wheelchair. We have raised sandboxes. We have special gliders, accessibility all the way, picnic areas. There's never a question of getting around. You can get around our playground. So the motivation was actually the parents of all our dream children. And when it was complete, it was just a dream come true. It really was. Nobody had seen anything like it at all. So we're
That's
very proud
wonderful.
of it.
I'm sure you are. It must be. John, I would love to hear how you got involved with the team.
Funny you bring that up. Before the podcast today, Diane had texted me a picture and an article from the Johnston Sunrise back from 2010. Was just about the time where I came on board, much younger. But the Impossible Dream over the years, unfortunately, like many places, the dream got hit hard with some vandalism. And it was back in 2010 where, was done pretty aggressively to the whole facility. And, it was really a strike to everyone once you walked around and saw the damage. I knew Diane through the grapevine from, my family, my mother, but got to know her really well and had this idea to, raise more money for the dream so, we could help clean this mess up. And there were so many people that came forward that, at that time to help, bring the dream back to what it was for the vandalism that has happened. But from 2010 and still to right now, 2023, the Kids Night Out was started. And that's how I got involved, a exclusive event for children of all abilities to come with their family after school into the evening. Pretty much what the title said, Kids Night Out. We have face painting, balloon artists, snacks, games, DJ. And over the years, it has changed. But that was the premise of what that fundraiser was, and getting involved. And now, as a board member, I am so lucky to be working with Diane each and every day to keep children's dreams a reality, like she said, for maybe a desk or a bicycle, and put on these fundraisers to keep the mission alive and keep having kids and families come play with us at the Dream.
Awesome. It sounds like you guys are doing really incredible work for your community.
We are.
Diane, I would love if you would tell us more about what kind of equipment you have. I know you mentioned a wheelchair glider. Can you tell those of us who might not know what that means, what that means and what other kind of products you have?
Yeah, the wheelchair glider is very unique. The first one that we purchased from a company in California. And the man who designed it had a niece who was in a wheelchair. And they had a wheelchair swing. But if you've ever seen one, it's very isolating. You can't go beside it. It's a very heavy, clunky thing. So for safety's sake, you put the child in the wheelchair in the swing and just swing it and get it out of the way. So when I saw this glider, I was like, I have to have this because you actually sit with the child or the adult in the wheelchair. You're right beside them. You're swinging with them. And so it was not only enabling the person to swing, but they were socializing. I thought, I have to have one of these. So I called the man in California and I said, you got a hefty price tag and I don't have that much money. Can you negotiate a little bit? So he did. He was wonderful. Very, very nice gentleman. So we bought that one 8 years ago. And then we had a section of the playground that we wanted to add something to. And so we were having some cement work done. And Kathy Andriozzi from the Andriozzi Foundation, Tori Andriozzi, passed away. And her mother had a wheelchair glider for her. And the day they laid the cement, Kathy came to the Dream and said, I have a wheelchair glider I want to give you. And I was like, we just put cement down. This is like incredible. So the company who did the construction of the cement went to Kathy's house, picked up the wheelchair glider, brought it to the Dream and installed it. And it was like a dream come true. That's what I wanted, but I didn't know how I was going to get a second one. So yeah, we have two of those. They're wonderful. They're very easy to use. The ramp comes right up. Everything is mechanic. It's wonderful. So those are my shining stars. But we also have upright swings for children who just need a little more support. We have mommy and me swings. It's a bucket swing that the infant or toddler sits in, and mommy sits right in front of them, and they swing together. That's a wonderful item. And we have a miniature golf course. As I said before, you can use it on foot or in a wheelchair. Raised sandboxes, those are easy. You just take them off the ground, put them wheelchair level, and we're all good to go. And several of our jungle gyms have ramps. And we also have a wheel through jungle gym, like a metal one, that
Oh,
children in wheelchairs can push themselves along using just their arms. So yeah, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and it's just so rewarding when you see a child swing on one of the gliders who has never experienced swinging before. I, I cry. I cry every time it happens when I see the look on their face, because every child should have that experience. Every child should have a playground to play in. So, we're providing something that is so essential, so necessary for all children, but especially inclusion, putting all children together. It's a wonderful thing.
definitely. John, I see that on your website that you guys are currently closed for construction. I'm wondering if you could tell us more about what changes we can expect when you reopen.
So there were a few things that Diane had mentioned earlier, that construction of cement. There were a few things earlier on this summer that they did install and had fixed. And sometimes, as busy as we are, the website doesn't get updated quite as often. But Diane, do you want to talk about just some of the things that we had done the beginning of the summer?
Sure. What we what we experience is kind of unusual. We have safety surfacing. It's rubberized and is poured in place. And evidently, coyotes like that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
So they tore it apart and they put it in their den. And we would have never known how it happened except that we have video cameras. So
yeah.
we're checking the video, and here comes this animal and uses his paws, and then all of a sudden just rips a large piece of my surfacing and goes into the woods. So night after night, they were doing this. I said, what am I going to do? They're going to destroy the whole thing. So I called DEM, and they went up behind our playground, and they found the place where the coyotes had put all the surfacing. So I said, well, I don't want to put surfacing back again. Let's do some cement, and we'll try to afford another wheelchair glider. So it wasn't just laying the cement. They had to prep the land, take away the old surfacing. It was quite a project, and it was performed by Bentley Builders, and they were wonderful. They were so accommodating, and we thought we were going to be closed for a few weeks, but it ended up only being 1 week, which was wonderful because we can't close our playground. Children don't like that. They want us to be open all the time. So yeah, that got done, and that was wonderful.
That sounds great. John, can you tell us how many children do you guys typically see over the course of a summer?
You could
A
say
summer,
a summer, you could say thousands,
thousands,
thousands.
thousands.
It's unbelievable. And, there has to come a point, here in the Northeast New England, that you close down for the season. And like Diane says, kids don't like and families don't like when the playground's closed. So as we get closer and closer now to winter months, it's the time we don't like when we have to close for the season. But on any average day, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, you can always see the Impossible Dream packed. And there's enough space. It's such a large facility for children and families to, if they need their own zone, their own space, to come in and just be together if need be, or mingle and meet new friends and family. And of course, like Diane mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, on top of the playground, we also have a beautiful facility that looks like a castle when you pull up in the parking lot, and it's our hall, which is available for rentals. So not only do we see, hundreds of families and thousands of children out on the playground through the season, but you also have families that do special birthday parties or special celebrations for their children that grew up playing at the Impossible Dream every weekend, which is awesome. And if not in the hall, they can rent a space out where the picnic tables are, and that all helps us put on our fundraisers and put money back into the playground and help us with our dreams that we go over as a board for the children we're helping and families we're helping each and every year.
That's
We
wonderful.
also, it's important to note that we also host other nonprofits. Last Saturday night, we had Women and Infants there with all of the children from
From the
birth
NICU.
to, I think, 6 years old, who had been through the NICU, and they and their families came. We had 225 people, and
Wow.
the playground didn't look crowded. I mean, it looked full, but not crowded.
A
We
reunion
had,
of sorts.
huh?
A reunion of sorts with that,
Yeah, there
hosting
was a
them. Yeah.
reunion. And we had Down Syndrome Society one weekend. Last weekend, we had a league of our own. That's a special baseball team. Uh, we've had uh, Autism Speaks. It's just like so many groups come and enjoy the facility because we have accessible bathrooms. They have a playground that everybody, regardless of their abilities, can play together. So it's a great place to hold a function for other nonprofits that deal with children, and we welcome them all. The more the merrier.
Definitely. Diane, can you tell us, are there other accessible playgrounds nearby across the country? Or are you guys the only ones?
No, we're the only one in Rhode Island for a very long time. There's a small one in Providence, and now more playgrounds, which is wonderful, are starting to make alterations to the existing playgrounds to make them accessible. And that is great. And a few of them do have equipment where children with disabilities can have fun on. None of them are as extensive as ours. None of them, obviously, are as old as ours, which leads us to a lot of fundraising to update the playground and to keep it looking good. And John had mentioned Kids Night Out. John was in high school when he hosted Kids Night Out.
Oh,
And I'm not going to remember the exact amount, but it was under $1,000 that we raised. Almost 3 weeks ago, John hosted a golf tournament for the Dream, and he raised over $15,000. And so he's come a long way.
Yeah.
He did a great job. I always say I'm the current executive director, but the future's got to be in someone young like John. I'm not the future, but John is. And so far, I see a lot of good stuff.
Well, thank you,
Yep.
Diane. And to touch, if you don't mind, on the golf tournament, over the years, like Diane said, there's been so many folks and so many people so involved that have put on different events and different circumstances, may not lead to having that same event this year. And a golf tournament has always been one of the Dream's bigger tournaments. And, we always have different people involved with them. And every year they're a great success. And this year, was our first year hosting it at Laurel Lane Country Club. And I just want to give a thank you to those guys for having us in, and having well over 200 people come. A lot of folks this year, their first time playing for the Impossible Dream, and we're already filling the list up for next year. But it just doesn't start and stop with the golf tournaments. I mean, we host events all year long at the Dream for all types of families to come and have fun and enjoy a night out.
very cool. Diane, can you tell us if any of our listeners aren't living near Rhode Island and unfortunately are not able to regularly visit the Impossible Dream Playground, how would you give any advice for people who want to help make their local playgrounds more accessible?
I think that if you start with a playground that's owned by a municipality, which the Impossible Dream Playground is not, it's privately owned by our organization. But if you start with a playground that already exists and it's owned by a municipality, it's much easier to do that because, first of all, they have the money, they already have the insurance. So you're three-quarters of a way there. All you have to do is the alterations, have a fundraiser, raise enough money for a little specialized equipment, and you're on your way to an accessible playground. If you try to do it privately, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to own a playground, and a building and everything that goes along with that. That's why I suggest that you go to your local city, town, and say, let's change that playground. And that's happening in a lot of areas. But you were speaking about throughout the United States when the report that said we were 16th most popular also noted that we were the only privately owned playground. All of the others were owned by big corporations or states or cities or towns. That's because nobody's crazy enough to do this. It's monumental, this task, but it's well worth it. It with smiles on those faces every day of the week when they come through the gates. It just gives you the incentive to keep going, to raise more money, to bother people like John to help out. It's contagious. You buy one thing and you want to buy another thing and you want to improve this, and you know it's all for the delight of the children.
That's wonderful.
It is.
Uh, John, I would love to hear more about past events that you guys have done or some of the events that you say you host every year.
Yeah, so as we get into the tail end of summer here, we hate to always see it go away. It goes by so quick, it seems like here in Rhode Island. Too fast. Gearing up for the holidays, we always have a very special holiday event where Santa comes and visits the children and families, and just a lovely weekend for people to come to arts and crafts, have fun, meet with Santa, listen to holiday music. We do that every year, and every year it's a little bit different. So we're in our planning stages with the North Pole to get Santa down here for this event coming up in December. And the best way to stay up to date with our events, because things can change periodically pretty quickly, especially if something's outside or with dates, is to go to our Facebook page and get that link, or go to impossibledreamplayground.org and get the link for our Facebook page. But that's upcoming. And all summer we've had food truck nights at our playground. So come and play, enjoy local food trucks from all over the state that come to the playground. Kids Night Out is always a big event. And every year there's, one or two more fundraisers that do pop up. We have motorcycle runs. Kind of, if you can think of it, there is a fundraiser that folks help us out with, or we're putting on for the Impossible Dream. Yeah, we've had many years of car shows, which this year we did take a break from due to the golf tournament. I did put a car show on, which Diane, you can say, started from 20 cars, and then last year when we did it, it's 90 degrees out and we got over 100 vehicles in the parking lot of the Impossible Dream. So that will come back. A few people have already called and asked if it was on this year, but we did table that this year because of the golf tournament. That will be back next year. And you really call or go on our Facebook page, website, because we always post about our fundraisers there. And we invite everyone to come. You don't just have to sign up to come to a golf tournament. If you and your family want to come to part of an event, all you have to do is give us a call or shoot us an email. We want everyone to be involved with this. We'll make it happen one way or another. So if you want to come see Diane and see, everyone that
Sure, come on by.
people have met in the past, maybe we did a dream for you, or you come play at our playground and enjoy time with your family and friends, and you want to come to a fundraiser, but don't think you can, or you're not going to play in it, we still invite everyone to come, even if you want to just come by and see people or want to meet new people. It's really about a family style, event fundraiser that we do for each and every one of them.
I
Sounds like you
just
guys
want
put
to
on a
add
lot of.
one thing about the Christmas event. All families are invited and there is no charge.
That is correct.
It's a free Christmas event because Christmas events are so expensive everywhere
Yeah.
that I decided no charge. We will find businesses that will want to do this for us, and families can come, have a great time, and not worry about spending money at that crucial time of the year where nobody has enough money. So that is key. It's key to understand the dynamics of a family budget and how much can go to recreation and where can we fit in to make that easier on families. And that's what I love to do that. I love to say, no, there is no charge. You just come along, have a good time, and don't worry about the money. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear that you guys put on so many good events. Speaking of great events, I know that you guys have an awesome fundraiser happening this Saturday, September 16th. Diane, would you mind telling us a little bit more about what's happening?
Yeah, that's very exciting. Please that it does not rain because it's all
Yes.
outdoors. It's hosted by Friends of Jake, which is a nonprofit that came into existence because a little boy named Jake needed a van, an accessible van. So that first year, they started this incredible barbecue fundraiser and they raised money for Jake to get a van. Well, when they saw how well it went over, they continued doing it for different causes. So every year they choose a child to help and a charity. So this Saturday coming, they'll be raising money for a little boy named Landon and the Impossible Dream. And they start cooking Friday night, and it is all chefs who have taken a course in doing this fundraising barbecue. And then who's cooking chicken, who's cooking ribs, just a wonderful buffet of food. And there are raffles and things like that. And it's all at Miller's Crossing, which is on War Cranston line. And it's $25 a person for the buffet. And you can come and spend the whole day and the evening. And it is going to be entertainment. And as I said, there'll be raffles. And we're hoping to see a lot of people because this could be some major revenue. And that would be wonderful. And the man's name who's doing it is Captain Nathan. And this man has a heart of gold. He just pours everything into this fundraiser. So we're looking forward to it. It's our first time there. So we just keep our fingers crossed that the weather holds out.
And
Good
just to
luck.
note, yes, we're excited. Just to note on that event, it does start at 2 o'clock. So if you're thinking of coming down 2 o'clock, and they're going to serve food around 5:30 at Miller's Crossing. That's on Old Bald Hill Road in Cranston. So we're excited. And like I said, when we were talking about fundraisers, it's amazing how many people like to co-collaborate and do these amazing events with us. And we're excited for eating good barbecue at Miller's Crossing this weekend.
That sounds good.
Thanks for filling in some of those details for us, John.
No problem.
John, can you tell people who are listening how they can get involved? Obviously, I'm sure you guys are open for donations, but for anybody else, are there other ways that they can get involved? Are you looking for volunteers, upcoming events, anything like that?
There's never enough volunteers, I think, is what we say. People always want to be involved, and you're always welcome to get involved. It's a simple, quick email or phone call to Diane or myself, but every event we have, we're always looking for volunteers to help us out. And if you're just looking to give back a little time and come see us, meet who we are, and help around the playground, we can only do so much as humans and the staff we have at the Dream day in and day out. So volunteers are number one. So families and children, I would say that's number one. Number two, volunteers. They make the wheel turn at the Dream. So we invite you to, please, if you are interested, visit our website, give us a call, speak to Diane. We'll set it up with you to help out. Or if it's just for our charity events, that too. I mean, we can't thank people enough that want to help out. We'd love to get you involved with the Dream.
Wonderful.
Couldn't have said it better, John.
Well, before we head out, I would love to hear any last thoughts from either of you, anything that we didn't get to that you'd like to make sure that we tell our listeners about, and of course, how people can follow you, any social media, your website, anything like that.
So yeah, I'll let Diane close out, but I'll just say, remember impossibledreamplayground.org or Impossible Dream Playground on Facebook to stay connected with us. And if you've never been to the Impossible Dream, we invite you, because I think you'll see when you step in the gates and come play with us, or maybe you're going to come to an event, how important it is for children of all abilities to commingle and socialize and see how they can do that at the Impossible Dream, and how vast of a property we have, and see everyone just kind of come together, and new friends, families are made at the Dream. So that's really important. A lot of people don't think about it that way, but when you step foot into the Dream, I think you can really see that right up front. So we invite you to come see us. And Diane, I'll let you close this out.
Yeah, that was a good point, John, because friendship is so important to children. Playing, being with other children, and the Impossible Dream gives you the setting for that, for all children to play, no matter what their abilities are. So once you've got that setting, and you've got children who are naturally friendly, naturally curious, we see that it breaks down all the barriers. The wheelchair disappears, children just see the child. And I hope we're raising children who are going to become young people and adults who are so acceptable of all people, of all abilities, that society's going to have this wonderful change in attitude, and everybody will think, you have to put a ramp for my friend to come in. You have to, do this to help my friend join me. And that's when I will be happy that we have finally reached the point where we realize that with just a little consideration, everybody can join in. And that's what the Dream does. It's that little extra bit of consideration that opens a whole world to people who would never get into that world. And the children are a prime example of the happiness that it brings into their lives. And my goal is for the playground to always be there, to always be available for all children, and to always be free for all families. As we can continue that mission another 28 years, I don't think I'll be here, but I'll be smiling down and be very happy.
Wonderful. Yep. Thank you both so much for joining us tonight. I just want to remind our listeners at home that RAMP's big annual event, Accessibility is Beautiful, is happening not this weekend, but the following Saturday, the 23rd, at the Steel Yard from 11 to 5. There will be food trucks, there will be live entertainment, there will be disabled artists and businesses selling their wares. It will be a wonderful time. So if you want to learn more about that, register on our website, rampisinclusion.org. And as Tina always says, Tina will be back next week with another exciting episode of this podcast. And as Tina always says, don't just sit there, do something.